Yo peeps, welcome to the Conspiracy Cupboard. Today we're going to be looking into the Rendlesham Forest incident. It's something I've been waiting to cover for ages, and yeah, I can't wait to get into it. So it's probably going to be a two-parter because there is so much stuff to cover, and obviously I've got to cover both sides of it and you know what people think about it. So here we go. Cue the title sequence. There we go. Right, okay. I just want to say thank you very much to everyone that's been subscribing recently. Thank you to everyone that's enjoyed Trivial, which is the podcast of the Conspiracy Cupboard with me and Mr. Dermy. If you've not seen it, I've got some episodes up on here, but future episodes will just be put on Spotify for the moment, and I'll probably put a couple of snippets from them maybe on the channel. But from now on, it will be on Spotify. It's Spotify exclusive, and I'll probably be putting some bits on Rumble as well. So yeah, thank you very much. Right, let's get into this then. Rendlesham Forest. If you've never heard of it, it's basically Britain's Roswell. Okay, it is a fascinating case, and it is something that I've been waiting to cover for a long time. And it is a trip that I have planned to go to Rendlesham Forest because, as you'll see a bit later on, there's a trail and some other bits. So, in December 1980, around the time children are usually watching the skies in hopes to see Santa's sleigh flying over, something else was spotted through the trees of Rendlesham Forest in Suffolk. The wooded area in the south of England has since gained notoriety as one of the most high-profile sites as a possible encounter with an unidentified flying object in UFO history. Now, this occurred between Bentwaters and RAF Woodbridge in Rendlesham Forest, or well, near Rendlesham Forest. So RAF Bentwaters then was an airbase used by the United States Air Force during the Cold War up until 1993. Sections of the US Air Force were stationed there, obviously at the time, when the incident occurred in December 1980. Now, this first incident took place on the 26th of December 1980. So it's been nearly 4 decades then since this incident occurred, and there is still no definitive explanation of what actually went on during those 3 days that these were seen. And it is obviously, like I've said, been called the British Roswell. However, in the minds of many, the Rendlesham Forest incident stands as one of the most compelling recorded, and it is recorded, instances of contact with what some believe to be technology or life from another world. So then it was around 3 a.m. on the 26th of December when all this started. Officers on a routine night security patrol reported seeing lights descended into the forest over the east gate at the station after calling in what they suspected to be a crashing aircraft.
I could see a dome of light over the forest, and then I could see multiple color lights inside the forest, which appeared to be maybe, in my assessment, a aircraft crash. But once I got inside the wooded area, I knew it was an aircraft crash.
They entered the woods to investigate. However, the object in question was indeed an aircraft, yet an aircraft unlike anything that officers had ever seen before. The official report handed in later by the station's deputy commander, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Holt, declared that his officers saw a strange glowing object in the forest, metallic in appearance and triangular in shape, and that it landed. Okay, so on this first night then, when this light descended and it landed in the forest, you had Jim Peniston and John Burroughs. So these are the ones that claim to have come into contact with the object. Now, Charles Holt as well, he saw these things out there and saw them landing. But this is where we're starting, because this is the most interesting case ever. So you've got them seeing these lights. Now, they've been seeing the lights for a few hours that night, and they could see over through the forest. Now, at the other side of the forest is a lighthouse. It was the Orfordness Lighthouse that they could see flashing over in the corner, so they knew what that was. It wasn't this. It wasn't flares being dropped. because these objects were moving and flying about, and they actually described some kind of aircraft, okay? A metallic looking triangular aircraft.
So I terminated the emergency response on the radio, and I initiated a helping hand situation, which is a security response situation of a possible hostile threat to the base. Then I proceeded, and what appeared in the forest floor in front of me was a triangular craft. I wasn't sure if I was going to survive because my movements were labored up to that point, feeling like I was walking through a pool of water. I was struggling to get close to it, and when I got, let's say, within 10 feet of it, all that dissipated, and there was like I call it a sphere of influence around it, around the immediate craft itself. As I got close to the craft, the fabric of the craft where this color was running through, it finally just dissipated and stopped, and all that left was the black opaque craft, which was shiny in nature. I would describe it as looking like black glass, and it was obvious it was not U.S. Air Force craft. It was still well lit underneath, and I didn't need a flashlight or nothing like that. It didn't have like seams, it didn't have like rivets or stuff like that. I was looking for things like everything that aircraft would have, like landing gear. It didn't have landing gear. And as I walked around it, I was looking for crew compartments. I was looking for flaps, intakes, exhaust. It was void of all those things. I came around on the far side of it, and then I could see there was writing on the side of the craft itself. When I got to the part where I could actually see the writing on the craft, it was like glyphs.
Obviously, in his official report as well, he declared that his officers saw a strange glowing object in the forest, metallic appearance and triangular in shape, roughly 2 meters tall and about 2 or 3 meters wide. Now, according to Jim Peniston, when he approached this object, he could see around that there was a panel which had a raised section with some kind of hieroglyphics on it. Now, he approached it was still glowing, the object was. They weren't sure exactly if there was anybody inside it or what was going on, but he felt like he wanted to touch the object, and he did. He put his hands on top of the hieroglyphs.
And it wasn't any writing that I've seen before. That's what they looked like. They stretched about 3 feet wide, and they're about 5 to 6 inches high.
Were you scared?
Yeah, I was very scared, believe me. All this was given in my statement to OSI, down to OSI building, in my debrief. I mean, I wrote 4 pages.
Now, there is a clip from him discussing this, okay, which I'm going to play for you in a moment after I've been through these. There's a few clips that are going to be put together, just like the radio calls. So, after he touched the object, he describes having some kind of download given to him. A binary code, just flashes images of stuff, just boom, 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 going through his mind. And it wasn't until the next day that he decided to write them down that he felt better. He felt really weird, really strange, couldn't get these things out of his head, started writing them down, felt that he put them in a notebook, he instantly felt better and put them away. Now we're going to get into that in a little bit and discuss exactly what this binary code says, because it's not just a random jumble of numbers that he was given, okay? This binary code actually says something.
The glyphs, and they went from the smooth fabric of the craft to touching the glyph. They were like, the best way to describe it is like going from smooth black glass to sandpaper. That's what they felt like they were etched in there. And then when I touched the top triangular one, there was a blast of light, a white light. I mean, I was blinded and stunned. So all I could see was white light. But during that's when I seen like digital stuff, like ones and zeros and stuff like that. I mean, but I don't know. I didn't know it was from the light. I didn't know what it was from.
And I think to do that, you'd have to be pretty genius, or to know at least about binary code. And this is 1980. He's out in the middle of Rendlesham Forest. Unless he knew how to write binary code, it wouldn't make sense, would it? So we're going to get into that in a minute with Jim Penniston. So after they'd seen this craft and these lights, apparently the craft elevated and disappeared. Okay. But it's also described that the animals were in a frenzy in a nearby farm, and that when they turned around to see where this object had gone, it just shot off and disappeared. Okay. Now, returning to the site the following day, the officers, Holt among them, found impressions on the ground and surrounding trees would seem to indicate the recent presence of an object the same size and shape that they had described. Later that night, the object seemed to reappear. So this was the 26th that it was first sighted, that they saw this object land, that he touched it, that he went near it, he reported this, and these are the actual recordings from that night. So here you go.
Watch, straight ahead off my flashlight there. There it is. Hey, I see it too. What is it? We don't know, sir. So can I get some? Yeah, it's a strange, small red light. You'll see maybe a quarter to half mile, maybe further out. I'm going to switch off. The light is gone now. It was approximately 120 degrees from the site. Is it back again? Yes, sir. Everything else is just deathly calm. There is no doubt about it. There's some type of strange flashing red light ahead. It's yellow. I saw a yellow tinge in it too. Weird. It appears to be maybe moving a little bit this way. It's brighter than it has been. Yellow. It's coming this way. It is definitely coming this way. Pieces of it are shooting off. There is no doubt about it. This is weird.
So, as you just heard then, they were frantic. They knew this wasn't a bloody aircraft coming down. That's what they first thought it was. It had been sighted on radar as well. You know, it had been picked up over there. This is, you know, over the UK. It's, you know, not in America. This has happened in the UK. This is where it's, you know, all been seen. So, Holt himself recalled seeing in the forest a red sun-like light, okay, which moved about and pulsed. At one point it appeared to throw off glowing particles and then broke into 5 separate objects and then disappeared. Moments later, the officers witnessed numerous balls of light moving rapidly through the sky above one, which remained visible for a few hours before fading from sight. So that's not flares, is it? That isn't the Orford Lighthouse, okay? You know, that I think that they would know the difference.
Went out into the forest. I carried a tape recorder almost everywhere I went, and we find these 3 indentations. Then it gets very puzzling because we're getting radiation readings that are higher than background. Not dangerous, but much higher, especially in the indentations and on the side of the trees facing the 3 indentations. I'm very puzzled about this, but I thought, oh, there's got to be some kind of explanation for this. And while we're doing that, one of the party persons with me says, look over there. There's this reddish orange glowing object. It's sort of oval in shape, like a large basketball or beach ball. It has a dark center, and it's moving.
Okay, we're looking at the thing. We're probably about 200 to 300 yards away. It looks like an eye winking at you. It's still moving from side to side. And when you put the star scope on it, it sort of has a hollow center, a dark center. It's like the pupil of an eye looking at you and winking. And the flash is so bright to the star scope that it almost burns your eye.
It did. It looked like the dark center would just look like it was blinking off and on. We're watching it for a few minutes. It comes into the forest. It had been out in the farmer's field beyond us. We see it in the forest. It moves through the trees, avoiding trees. It doesn't touch any trees, bobbing up and down and moving through the trees. So I said, let's try and approach it. So we try and approach it, and it recedes. It goes back out into the farmer's field.
And the ones in the north are moving. One's moving away from us. It's moving out fast.
This one on the right heading away too.
Yeah, we're both heading north. So here he comes from the south. He's coming toward us now.
We stop at the edge of the forest and watch it, and I can see the glow from it on the farmer's house, which is on the far side of the field. All the windows reflected so brightly, it looked like the house was on fire.
Now we're observing what appears to be a beam coming down to the ground. This is unreal.
The object's dripping or shedding some kind of material like molten metal or some kind of sparks or something. Then it silently explodes like fireworks into multiple white objects and they disappear.
What are your emotions as you're seeing this thing?
Oh, we were almost in shock. I'm thinking the whole time, I wish I hadn't got involved in this. Nobody's going to believe what we're telling them. I'm thinking ball lightning, all kinds of explanations, but nothing fits.
So that was on the second night then. Okay, so obviously we had reports that came out in News of the World. UFO lands in Suffolk. Okay, so there was official reports from the MOD, from the US military. Okay, so the Rendlesham Forest incident did not become common knowledge until 1983, then, when Holt's report was made public. And I've got Holt's report here for you of the night. Obviously, you've heard the recordings from that night, okay? And you've just seen bits of the other video that I've just showed you there. So when it was made public under the Freedom of Information Act, naturally the report was cause for considerable excitement for many in the UFO world, with a bold front page tabloid news saying UFO lands in Suffolk and that's official. And actually it was official because this had been investigated that way. So in the years since, one of the officers, as I've mentioned, Sergeant Jim Pennison, has gone further into detail, claiming he saw hieroglyphic-like writings on the craft and felt electrical charge in the air as he approached it. Most startlingly, Pennison claimed that on touching the object, his mind was flooded with vision of binary code, zeros and ones. No officers can corroborate this. Now, here you go. His account, then. It's fascinating, isn't it? It really is. Thank you to the basement office for that clip. I had to take it from there because it's the best account that I've seen him say. So obviously, as you heard it, he said, he estimated it to be about 3 meters tall, about 3 meters wide at the base. No landing gear was apparent, but it seemed like there was sort of fixed legs or something at the bottom of it. As he moved a little bit closer, he walked around the craft. He finally walked right up to the craft and noticed the fabric-like shell was moving like a smooth, opaque sort of glass. It had this hieroglyphic writing on it, and he touched it. And that's what leads us to there. It's, that to me is just insane. So the binary code writing, then, I'm going to do it on this part of the episode. Here it is for you to read. And as you will see, so it reads, possibly, okay, exploration of humanity, 668100, 52.90425232N, 13.1312.269W, continuous for planetary advancement, fourth corporate continue UQS. Eyes for your eyes, origin 5209425332N, 13.131269W, origin year 8100. So I don't know what all that means, but it appears to have a set of coordinates or something in there. So actually line up to certain places, and the coordinates, well, guess where they link up to. So you got Chacola, Brazil, Sandonia, Arizona, the Great Pyramids of Giza, the Nazca Lines in Peru, Taishanqiu in China, the portrait at the Temple of Apollo in Nexus, Greece, and the reputed location of the mysterious Phantom Island of High Brazil, which is off the coast of Wales. So, I don't know. This is just fascinating to me. And this is only one part of the story. So, right. For this part, I want you to let me know what you think. Okay. I'm going to go into more depth in the next episode. about John Burroughs and his encounter in the forest on the third night. Exactly what this message from the future might mean. And yeah, just wait, because it gets even better. It gets even better, okay? And then I'll tell you what some people think it could be, and where they think these things could have come from, or what possibly could have caused it for your skeptical people out there. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please leave me in the comments if you know anything about this case and you're fascinated by this case too. Please leave in the comments what you think about this case. And like I say, I'm going to get into Charles Hort more in the next episode, and John Burroughs and his encounter there. So until the next episode, this has been part 1 of Rendlesham Forest. Mischief signing out.
Oh, I've talked to everybody from Nobel Prize winning astrophysicists, you name it, and nobody's been able to come up with a good explanation. People say it was a manure wagon on fire, it was a cop car with lights on the roof, it was the lighthouse, all these crazy things, but nothing fits.
Are we alone, Colonel?
They're definitely not.